What I find fascinating, Peter, is that the Rolling Stones, the Hermits, and the Yardbirds are all coming through Boston in 2024. Would we have even thought that in 64?
Isn't that amazing? We all did a concert. Those three bands did a concert together in about 1964, the NME Poll Winners concert.
Amazing. Wow.
And that was it. It was pretty good.
Wow.
We did the NME Poll Winners concert. Beatles, Yardbirds, yeah. And that's the one where Jeff Beck, his amp is on his pedal, and his amp is on the other side of the stage because everybody's sharing gear. I think we used some of the Beatles gear. And for the guitar solo, he crosses the stage to get to his pedal. Down, diddly down, diddly down, diddly down, down, whatever the song was. Pretty funny, really. I've seen the video. We do lots and lots of, now with the internet, people keep picking stuff up from the olden days, and things that you didn't even know were being taped show up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's fun.
It is great, isn't it? I like the fact that stuff didn't disappear. Like me and the Hermits, we did this Royal Command performance, and of course it was live, but somebody taped it. It was not live on television, and we all signed a deal that we would do it, and they couldn't record the music or anything. And then one day it shows up, and we all see it, and you know what? We were fantastic. We didn't know. I called Carl, who was in the Hermits, and Keith, and I said, did anybody ever mention how good you were on the Royal Command performance? And they go, no. I said, not even your mom. And he said, that was the trouble with Herman's Hermits. Nobody ever told us we were any good. So we thought we were no good.
The band is so important to rock and roll.
It was good. It was good to be in that band because they were all nice guys. So it makes a difference when you're on the road for a long week. I think we were together for 10 years, and that's a long time to and remained constantly. And it's like I was in France last week, and I had lunch with Keith, and I saw a video. Carl's in Chicago singing Herman's Hermit songs in a park with some friends. It's all good stuff. It was a good time to be around in the music business. I wouldn't say it was as much fun now, but when we started out, it was great because you think about an oldies but goodies concert in those days would be Del Shannon and Roy Orbison and the Everly Brothers and Bo Diddley and all phenomenal, Chuck Berry and Little Richard. Those were the people you got to play with and meet on tour. Amazing.
It really is. I discovered a Little Richard Jimi Hendrix tape. Did you aware of that?
Really?
On my TV show 35 years ago, and it just sold on auction for like 51 grand.
Amazing.
Yeah. The wife of my friend, the producer, Walter DeVen, she's so happy. She, today, she just, but I helped her out. And Walter was this amazing mastering engineer for Little Richard and Fats Domino. He did the whole collections for Bear Records. And he was probably the best 50s mastering engineer. And he was a dear friend of mine. And like talking to you, I captured him on visual radio. And just making these shows is so important, I think. Because you never know what
nobody even knew that stuff like that was being recorded. That's what's great. Remember, it wasn't easy to make good recordings. It's like Street Fighting Man by the Stones was started on a little reel-to-reel Philips recorder with a mic, a Pifco mic, and all that stuff is now able to be, reformatted and be able to listen to properly. So good stuff out there.
Well, I managed Jimmy Miller, right?
I just saw today, somebody put on my Facebook page a YouTube of Paul McCartney singing "Leaning on the Lamppost."
Wow!
And Paul McCartney, and he says, this is a very old song. I'm sure you know it by Herman's Hermits, but it's even older than they are.
That's wild. So,
yeah.
I guess Keith Richards went to Jimmy Miller when they were doing Street Fighting Man and asked how to get that sound, and Jimmy created that. That
Really? Hey,
yeah,
Jimmy Miller. Hey,
they did that intentionally. They wanted that cassette sound.
yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's in movies.
I heard that they built from that track bit by bit. I mean, even Dave Mason's got stuff on there, you know, flutes and flugelhorns, all kinds of stuff going on in that record.
It's an amazing record.
There's lots of really amazing records around, you know. Even some new ones are good.
Speaking of amazing, Mickey Most. What was it like being in the studio with Mickey, the producer?
He was a good man, you know. He knew what he was doing. He could pick hit songs, and you know, people who didn't even like hit records ended up going there, like Donovan and the Animals and Jeff Beck even. You know, people wanted to know he could pick songs. He didn't really know much about the engineering of records, but he knew what he wanted before he started. You know, that's it. That's kind of a gift. If you can hear the record before you've made it, you're in good shape. You know, he was like my best friend. You know, we were musically very compatible. You know, if I said, you know, that reverb on, you know, that echo like on Walk Right Back by the Everly Brothers, he'd go, oh yeah, I know what you mean. You know, we knew all the same music. We'd grown up kind of on a parallel line with music. You know, we knew Sam Cooke and we knew Little Richard, we knew Chuck Berry, and we knew all the English stuff as well, which was kind of discounted. But Shadows wrote all those songs for Cliff Richard, you know, like Move It and Living Doll and Summer Holiday, and early English rock and roll records were kind of part of our growth, but of our growth as musicians. Even the Beatles, you know, stole a lot of stuff from English musicians.
That's incredible. Was there a specific demo that got the deal for the Hermits?
It was Harvey Lisberg was the manager of Herman's Hermits, and he was and is a very persistent guy, and he got the demo. He got a version of "I'm Into Something Good," and he got it to Mickey Most and said, "If you make this record with Herman," and Mickey. I mean, the story is we made the record and Mickey went home and he told his wife, he said, I'm not even going to release it. I don't like it. And she said that it's a number one. If you don't put that one out, I'm not going to stay married to you. Put that record out. And he put it out and it's a great little record.
Oh, still today.
You know, we thought we were making a surf record, you know. We thought we'd never seen a surfboard, but we knew what surf music was, you know, like Jan and Dean and all that stuff, and that ooh, all that stuff we wanted all over it. And the session got saved because there was a keyboard player in the next studio, and he came and basically saved the record. The Roger Webb Trio. He was in the Roger Webb Trio, and Roger came in and played the da 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 da, which kind of made the record, I think. And you know, we were all kids. I mean, I was 16 and Keith was 16, Carl was 17, and Barry was 18 and Lek was 20. You know, he was like an old geezer in the band at 20. And that's a very good time to have a hit record because you are the audience when you're 16. You are this. You know exactly what the audience is thinking because you are the audience. I was the audience for the Beatles all my life, and when I was 16, I was a good audience.
Did you know we tracked Into Something Good for Denny Lane's ex-wife, JoJo Lane?
Huh.
I got to mail it to you. So we got some money. We had a backer, and Jimmy Miller was producing JoJo. And the first track we did was "I'm Into Something Good."
I've never heard it. What a great little idea! Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, I've re-recorded it a few times. I did it for Naked Gone, a re-record. It's just a great little song and a great little record. And I'm sure there's a very mediocre version by Brian Wilson and Carole King, which just shows you that you can completely miss the plot sometimes. Even if you're the writer and a genius, you can sometimes not get. I mean, we took the Carole King demo, and it was like and that's what we turned into ding 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 ding. There's a difference. There's a difference between blues feels and pop.
I love that the Carole King demos are showing up on YouTube. I just adore them.
Yeah, me too. I was a fan of Carole King before I ever, I got It Might As Well Rain Until September, and then I was in the fan club.
Yeah.
I was in her fan club from then. I got all those early demos on acetate, from Screen Gems Music in New York. People in London would get them, and we were kind of like collectors. We were train spotters of music. The reason I got in a band in the first place was because I had a good record collection, and this guy Alan Wrigley knew that I knew a lot about American songs. And I was at this club, the Hartford Youth Club, and this guy in a band comes up and says, "Hey, Malcolm Lightfoot, our singer, hasn't shown up, and you know all these songs, don't you?" And he's sort of like, Arthur Alexander songs and Sam Cooke songs and a Bobby Rydell B-side, and yeah, I knew every one of the songs. And he said, "Could you help us out? Just sing them for us tonight." And I got in the band, and 2 weeks later, I was the leader of that band.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I knew music. I was a collector of music. I had so many records, it was disgusting. It's disgusting. And my sister was also a record collector, and she was a couple of years older than me, so she got me into things that were before my time. Yep. Which is interesting, because there was, I didn't have any romantic records, because I was more into like rock and roll, more this pullover that you gave to me. But she had all those records, Il Nostro Concerto, and all that romantic music. So that was all coming through her bedroom wall into my room. And we both had a Dansette Major that when it was on full, it was only still about 6 dBs. And we played music full time. I mean, that's all we did. She'd be doing her homework in her room, and I'd be doing my homework in my room, and we'd both be only listening to music. And then we had these little transistor radios, and as soon as our dad made us go to bed, we had that thing stuck on our head listening to Radio Luxembourg that played lots and lots of American music.
Of course.
And we could get, where we lived in the northwest of England, you could get American Forces Network, AFN, and that was all the American sort of, I forgot what they used to call it. I think it was called rhythm and blues or soul or something like that, which was something that we didn't know about in England, because our chart was everybody. It was Sam Cooke, Sound of Music, Henry Mancini, everybody was in, Mantovani. They were all in one chart. We didn't have any musical segregation. So we didn't know that Roy Orbison was a country singer. We thought he was a rock and roll singer. Same with Johnny Cash, yeah, Man in Black, rock and roll. So we didn't have any segregation. So we would listen to music, and if we liked it, we would go and buy it. That was it. When music was free, remember, it was delivered to the listeners, all of us, for free. On a radio or in a jukebox in a bar, in a cafe or something. And bit by bit, we got a musical education from all kinds of music.
And now YouTube, Mick Jagger and Elton John are using YouTube. They're putting the bonus tracks out on YouTube for free, using it like a radio station. It's interesting.
All there is now. I mean, if you want people to hear your music, you've got to give it away again. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I would suggest that all of my contemporaries, that music was their hobby, and suddenly one day they found out that they could make money with it. And they said, "Oh, this is good." It's like selling some of your stamps out, your stamp book, only the music that they were playing for fun was a hobby. And bit by bit, they said, "We'll give you £6. You can play a girl's birthday party and stuff like that started to happen. And eventually, if you stayed in it long enough, you made more money at the gig than you could spend going to it. I remember we did Hertford Youth or Urmston Football Club, and they paid us £4, which was I guess $6 or something. They paid us £4, but we had to rent a van to get there. So after we paid for the van and the petrol that we put in the van, we stopped at a fish and chip shop, but we only had enough for chips. We couldn't have the fish, but we had 5 orders of chips. And I remember thinking, wow, we're like professional musicians now. You know, we've made more money than we spend playing the show. Of course, that didn't stop us playing for nothing. We played for nothing for another couple of years, but sometimes we would make a couple of shillings extra. And after 2 or 3 years driving around in a van, we suddenly started to make real money.
Was that the band before Herman's Hermits or Herman's Hermits?
You know, the band before Herman's Hermits, Pete Novak and the Heartbeats, changed their name to Herman and the Hermits. And when it was Herman and the Hermits, we started to get enough dates in a week to make money. You know, one would pay for the van, one would pay for the clothes, and we started to make enough money to buy better equipment. And as anybody who's been in a band, the better your equipment looks, the more people think you're good. You know, they go, oh, they got a nice van. They must be making money. And if they're making money, they must be good. So we had a lot of shinola at the beginning. I could sign my father's name really well on credit reports. So we got nicer equipment, Vox AC 15s, and, you know, good guitars. And hey, and bit by bit, we grew exponentially. Every time we did a gig, we probably got better. Actually, a couple of times we got worse after gigs, but most of the time we got better and better and better. And, you know, by the time Herman's Hermits got in the charts, we all had 10,000 hours, you know.
How did the manager find you? Or how did you find the manager?
We had a following, you know, and it's the same. It's like Brian Epstein. You know, what happens is you get a following, and we had a little following at the beginning. We'd play the Cavern, and I remember our following was a girl called Margaret, and she would sit on the front of the stage, you know, watching the band, and then after a few times there, we had 3 people. One of her friends came, you know, and then we had 10 people, then we had 20 people. And by the time the manager came to us, we had like 30 people who came to, you know, we had 2 or 3 dates a week, and they'd come to 2 of them. And he came to one in Bolton, and it was called the Beachcomber in Bolton. And he saw us there, and he asked, could he be our manager? And, you know, we didn't have a manager, so why not? He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. So he came back to my mum and dad's house, and all the Pete Novak and the Heartbeats, Herman and the Hermits guys was there in the room. And he said that, nice piano, you know, and he got on the piano and he played What Did I Say by the Jerry Lee Lewis version, you know, the down, 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 down. And he played it really good. So he said, we don't want you to be our manager. We want you to be in the band. And he said, no, I don't want to be in the band. I'm still at college. I just want to be the manager. So he said, okay. And my mum and dad liked him. So he became the manager. And I think that's kind of how it always happens. I think you have to have a following, and then somebody sees your following and they say, I can make their following bigger by being your manager. And he was a persistent guy. And what we realized really quickly, I saw the Beatles in a field. You know, they played right behind that football club where we played. And I remember that it was August the 6th, 1963. So they'd already made it. But we got in for free because my grandmother lived near the field, and you could climb over 2 hedges and get into this field for free. And me and the guy called Alan Wrigley got in to see the Beatles for free. And there was another band on it called Brian Poole and the Tremolos. And I remember thinking, Alan Wrigley, when the Beatles started to play, he said, the magic words, "We're fucked," and that was he was sort of out of show business, but I was inspired by their sort of genuine love of the music that they were playing. They hadn't written, I don't think they'd written many songs by then, but you could see they did Boys and I've Been Told When to Go, because, you know, and it was like, oh, magic. And also Brian Poole and the Tremolos, they had this great sort of band-like camaraderie going on. And I said, I want some of that. And I started to find people who were inspired by that same kind of thing, that we could all enjoy being together on this stage and sing songs that we liked, because you could tell that the Beatles liked all the songs that they did. And the same for Brian Poole and the Tremolos. And they were mostly American songs. So we started getting in this. Oh, there's the dog wants to be on the show as well.
What's the doggy's name?
That's Lucy.
Lucy.
Lucy, she's deaf. She's very old. And it's her birthday on July the 14th.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. So we were inspired by the Beatles to do and we started to do all these American songs. And we got to the Cavern, and we started to realize that the guy who booked us at the Cavern was called Bob Wooler. And he liked us. He didn't necessarily like the music, but he liked us. And we decided while we were there that we needed to do kind of different songs from everybody else, because every band was doing Fortune Teller and Some Other Guy and You Better Move On. And every band was doing the same song. So we said, we've got to get some different kinds of songs. And we would practice songs all day. We'd all get together and we'd practice, because we were now deciding that we all had 3 jobs. And one of the jobs was being in a band. And we decided to find some outside music, like Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter. And we used to in our show, we'd do mashed potato, yeah, because no other bands did that.
Dee Dee Sharp.
And we also did My Boy Lollipop, because no other bands sang My Boy Lollipop. There was some sort of weird, well, why are you singing My Boy Lollipop? What's the matter with you? Well, people like the song. Oh, okay. And we became kind of odd, because everything that we did was kind of tongue-in-cheek, everything. And like the Stones, we thought we were it's called taking the piss in England, making fun of ourselves and other people who were in it. And it paid off really quickly, because a lot of girls and a lot of young men like the fact that you have a sense of humor about music. You know, that when you do reeling and rocking, you have a sense of humor about reeling and rocking. And you know, and now I get my fortune told for free, we would say, and now I get my Cocoa Pops for free. We would change things around, and Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter became sort of an inspiration to people to come and look at us. What was that about? Were they doing all weird songs? You know, like they thought it was an old song, even though it was a new song. And we created a following, and management started to like us. And then when management liked us, and they could say to a label, we've already got a following. So okay, Mickey Mouse, you got, they got a following. Well, so they said, well, come and see them. No, I'm not coming to Manchester. It's a dump. Not going to Manchester. So eventually Harvey Lisbeth came up with this idea. We'll send him a plane ticket and a first-class hotel. We'll pay for a plane ticket in the first-class hotel in Manchester, and we'll bring him in, and we'll bring him to the Beachcomber, that place, and we'll get all the girls to scream when you come on stage and everything. Well, you know, they all scream in the wrong place and everything. But he kind of liked the band, and he said, well, come to London and do kind of an audition. And it was by now like our 50th audition, but we pretended it was our first one. And we played this track. It's called Only Last Night I Thought About You. Not a great song. And he said, I like Herman, Peter Noone, Pete Novak, whatever I was called in those days. But I don't think much of the band. Get rid of the band. We thought, well, we can't get rid of them. You know, we're a band. These are all my mates. These are all my friends. And he said, well, you know, we can't record that drummer and that bass player. Oh, so we had a meeting April 1st, 1964, and we got rid of the bass player and the drummer, and they were heartbroken because they've been in it since the beginning. And like it's like getting fired, you know. And they were heartbroken, but we got Barry Whitwam, who was in a band called the Wailers, and Derek Leckenby, who was in the Wailers, and they had to get rid of Big Wally, who was in the Wailers with them. They were a trio, so they got rid of him. So there was all these people falling by the wayside as we kind of got going. So then we did a lot of dates because we had a following. So we would play like 4 or 5 nights a week, and we very quickly got this Hermits, this new band, Herman's Hermits, with the 2 new people and a few switches around. Like Carl had gone from rhythm guitar to bass, and Keith had gone from lead guitar to rhythm guitar player. And there was all these switches around. But we got a load of work, and Mickey said, I got, you know, here's this song, come and record it. And we went in and recorded it based on our following. Really, all of it was that we built a local following, you know. And I think you'll notice in the history of the music business, you know, like for a while, everybody who was from Liverpool got signed, and like everybody from Seattle got signed 1 year later. And so everybody from Birmingham was getting signed, and we were the last Manchester band who hadn't been signed. You know, everyone from Newcastle had got a deal, and we were this band from Manchester who, because of my family geography, we'd also got ourselves into the Liverpool market because my mum and dad lived in Liverpool. So I was acceptable in Liverpool. You know, the Kinks were acceptable in Liverpool. No idea why, but they would do lunchtime cavern sessions as the Ravens. So they were acceptable in Liverpool. So we got going, and we put out the record, and I'm Into Something Good. And it came out on August the 7th, which is almost a year to the day since we decided that we were going to be the next coming. You know, the Beatles had inspired us to get going and get serious and practice and rehearse all day. And we would rehearse all day, and we'd play the song the next night, and it would bomb, and we'd throw it away. So we'd have to learn another song. So every day we were learning new songs, and some of them we threw away, like Ebb Tide. Oh, I don't want to sing that ever again. So we recorded this song, guess where we. So this is the place where Harvey Lisberg discovered us. Mickey Moe saw us for the first time, and we were in the dressing room upstairs in the kitchen when it was played on the radio for the first time by Jimmy Savile. Here they are, Herman and the Hermits, and they played it, and it was like, we freaked out. We didn't know how to behave because nothing had ever happened to us before. It was like scoring a goal in the World Cup. That's all we could compare it to. So we heard it, and I remember me and Carl Green were in the kitchen, and there was this big 56-pound bag of potatoes, and we started throwing these potatoes at each other. And there was an old sewing machine factory on the other side of the canal that you could see, with almost every window in this place had been broken by hooligans. And we started to throw these potatoes, looking to get that one unbroken window for about an hour, with the excitement of having, because we were kids, you know, we didn't know what to do. We didn't sell champagne and caviar and cigars. No, we're on the radio with Roy Orbison and the Beatles and Dion and the Searchers and everybody else that we'd ever heard on the radio. We were now in that, we used to call it shelves. You're on the bottom shelf when you start, and Jerry and the Pacemakers gave us a gig in the Nelson Imperial, and it was Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy J. Craner and the Dakotas, and Pete Novak and the Heartbeats. And that gig put us on the next shelf. We were now on the first shelf. We weren't on the bottom shelf, we were on the first shelf. And bit by bit, like on the third shelf, you heard yourself on the radio. And the top shelf was reserved for the only people that you could ever get on the top shelf, which was like Elvis and the Beatles, really. That's all we could see. Even Roy Orbison and the Stones would only be on the second shelf to us. So we were now on the next shelf. And of course, if you want to move up to the next shelf, you need a hit record in America. And that was our next little thing. How do you get a hit now? It's great. It's number one in England. How do we get a record deal in America? And of course, nobody wanted us, from the label that we were signed to. They could have got us for free, but Capitol didn't want us because we've already got two bands with guitars. Oh yeah, who's that? Well, the Beach Boys and the Beatles. That's two bands with guitars. And, what about the Ventures? Oh yeah, we got three bands with the guitars. So they didn't want a band with a guitar, another band with a guitar. So they gave us away, and we got signed to MGM. The Animals and Herman's Hermits, who they could have had for free, they gave away to MGM, who paid us for a while. So now we were looking at getting that American hit. So, me always being, every record in my record collection was an American record. So I just wanted to get to America. So we came over to America, did a little promotion tour. I think it was like Dallas and New York, probably just those two places. And the record got to number 13, and Dick Clark liked us, and they signed us for this Dick Clark Caravan of Stars thing, and we signed for 84 days, $500 a night. We were billionaires. And during the tour, we had 3 records in the top 20. We started off as the opening act, direct from England, Herman and the Hermits. Little Anthony Imperials was the headliner. Freddie Cannon, Bobby V, the Shangri-Las, Reparata, and the Delrons. Everybody was like, and Billy Stewart. My buddy Billy Stewart was on the bus with me. And that was it. We started to tour America and got 3 records in the charts. And I got to, on that tour bus, I got to fulfill a load of my dreams because I had a lot of questions. And I got to sit on the bus next to Billy Stewart, who was, I'm sure you know who Billy Stewart is, but he was kind of fascinating. He'd been on Chess Records, he was a drummer, and he knew Marvin Gaye and all the people that I wanted to meet in the world. He kind of knew, and he would tell me stories about, this is where it happened. And also on the bus, Little Anthony and the Imperials, who explained to me that, I said, why do we always stop in Howard Johnson's? And Henry, one of the Imperials, said, well, that's the only place that we can eat at the counter. Because we go, what? We had no idea. In England, we didn't even know that anything like that existed. So we got a great introduction to American reality on the tour. And also the inspiration of all those musicians. I mean, all the musicians on there were fine musicians. Bobby V was on the thing, and we bought all Bobby V's records because that was the kind of pop music that we knew and liked. So that's it. Then we'd made it, and then there's a story in like a Honolulu newspaper in 1965, I guess it is, and it said Herman meets his all-time idol, Elvis Presley, and Herman is Peter Noone, who is on a 360-day world tour. And I read it a few years ago. I said, "What? Where did they get that number for?" Well, we used to tour 360 days a year, and my day off in Honolulu when I met Elvis was day 361. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because we'd start, and we didn't know how to do anything else. We made records on days off. And then we went on tour because that's what we did. We were a live band. We were an entertainment thing. So we didn't really have time to spend much time in the studios because we were always on the road. And that's what we enjoyed, and that's who we were. And that's who I am. I'm a road person. You know, I like to play live because that's what I've done since I was 14. Every minute of the day that I can, I've been on the road.
That's amazing, Peter. And you continue to be on the road. In fact, Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, Connecticut, Boston. You have a lot of dates on the calendar.
You know, I love it. I love it. I think I've got like 100 and I like to do 100 dates a year if I can physically. And that's been possible for years and years now. So I think for another 10 years of 100 a year.
So I saw you at the Lynn Auditorium with Jay and the Americans. Is this the same band, or do you change members at all?
Um, I can't remember who. Yeah, I think it's Rich Spina on keyboards, Van Sprecher on one of the guitars, Billy Sullivan on another guitar, Dave Ferrara on drums, and Rich Spina on bass and keyboards.
And if anyone's never seen Peter Noone and the Hermits, they are amazingly consistent and fun. I saw you in Belmont at that beautiful hall, and maybe down at the casino down in Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm doing that again. You know, I like to do those places. You know, I like to dip into all the different types of places. You know, the show with Jay and the Americans, that's like a theatrical show. And I love those. I also like to play. I'm sure the City Winery is one of the kind of places that I really like to play, where the people are sitting down and they.
That's exactly.
I like to play shows where everybody in the audience has paid money to see me, so they know what to expect. So then I can do all the Hermit songs that I want to, and then I can do a Dave Clark 5 song, and I can do a Rolling Stone song, and I can do a Monkey song, and I can do anything I want if they've paid to see me, because they'll know who I am already.
You know, at the City Winery, I took Carolyn, who I took to your Belmont show. She's a singer in my band. And we went to see Liv Taylor and Carla Bonoff. And Liv walks by me 3 times. And I'd seen him since the 70s. He opened for Jethro Tull at the Garden, the Boston Garden. So Liv Taylor, I've been a huge fan of. And he walks by me the 4th time. I said, "Hey, Liv." He goes, "What?" I go, "I'm the guy who interviewed you." So we talked. And then Carolyn says, "You played my school when I was a kid." I guess he used to play at high schools and go talk to the kids. So the City Winery is very intimate, but it's beautiful. It's there's 2 floors and there's wine everywhere. It's just an elegant club. You're going to love it.
I'm sure I love it. And you know what I've been doing for about the last year is I like to get off the stage and wander around the audience and sing a song in the audience.
Oh, they're going to go crazy. They'll go crazy there.
It's a new thing. You know, I like to try new things. I did a one-man show. I don't know how stupid I must be to have even thought that I could pull it off. But I did a one-man show, and I did it at the Iridium in New York, and I really enjoyed myself. I didn't plan it. It was really flying without a parachute. You know, I was jumped out of a plane without a parachute, but I didn't hit the ground hard, and I enjoyed it. So it's as I go along, I'm figuring out these new things to keep me, to inspire me. You know, so that I'm not just thinking, when I sing, I'm into something good. I am that 16-year-old boy in the studio. I can Stanislavski. The method acting theory can also be used by singers, and I can become the people in the songs, and that's also useful now, because I'm not Henry VIII. I can never be Henry VIII, but I can sing Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, to my imaginary Mrs. Brown, and that gives me sort of it gives me some sort of comfort as an entertainer to know that I can just be that other person for 3 minutes. And like Keith Richards says, I enjoy on stage because during the song that you're singing, you can't think about anything else. There's nothing you can't think about. Politics or family. You've got to think about the song, only about the song. And I've captured more of that as you get older. You may not be as fast, but you're probably smarter than when I'm a lot more clever now than when I was 16.
I've never seen Ray Davies Storytellers. Is it something like that where you play guitar and sing? Or?
It was like that, but that's not what I do now. Now I'm going out being an entertainer from the '60s, so I can do as many Hermits songs as the people want. But I can do other people. Like I enjoyed like a Dave Clark 5 song, and I like to do Daydream Believer because it was one of my favorite records. Wasn't my favorite band, but that is a great record, and the audience love it, and they all sing it.
I just heard Anne Murray do that on the radio last night. You know that Anne Murray had a hit with it, and her version's great too.
Yeah, it's just a great song, But and Davey was a good bloke. I mean, we got on great. We both started out in the same place in Manchester. We were on a TV series together. Although I never met him on I met him when he came to England with the Monkees for the first time.
And interesting. Did you record any of the stuff before the MGM or before the Capitol recordings? Were there like demo tapes you guys did at home?
Yeah, Harvey Lisbeth, the manager of Hermits, put out a sort of a disc of that Only Last Night, which is a song that he wrote, which has a picture of the original Herman and the Hermits. The two guys who, I think it was me, Keith, and Carl are the living remnants of that band.
Oh wow! And, so it's available.
He put that, and there's some interesting stuff out there. I find most of it, like people find it and tell me about it. I don't type in Peter Noone on Google. I don't do that, but I probably should. But my fans, whatever that means, my following, find stuff all the time. So there's old stuff that I didn't even remember recording, and when I find something, I put my name on it,
Right, which you should, absolutely.
Like I did a couple of things with the Weaklings, and I put my name on it, and I did a thing with Red. I do things, other records for fun. Like people say, "Hey, will you come and sing on this record?" Yeah, I'll be over in a minute. So I've done bits and pieces that show up on what do you call it, Spotify and all those things. So bit by bit, I'm getting my catalogue together. There's a load of stuff that I did in the 80s that's slowly sort of resurfacing, if you can say that's what it is, resurfacing.
There's an album on your website, and it's got rarities on it. I don't know if it's a 1 or 2 record CD set, but you have some of the rarities coming out. Have you ever thought of a box set? Like the Beach Boys and Ozzy and all these people have box sets, which are just wonderful.
The thing is that it all got separated at birth. The stuff that, like the Beach Boys, there's the Warner Brothers and there's the Capitol.
Yep.
Yep. But in recent memory, one record company now has everybody. Warner Brothers ended up with everybody. So now everybody's on the same label. We're all on that. So no matter who you used to be with, you're now with Warner Brothers. So there's a chance that I can connect all those. They're all different record deals. You know the way that works. This record deal, this record deal, and this one, and this producer, this. Well, now somebody thought that it was worth nothing, and they got it for free. So now it's all in one. I'm on the same label as the Beatles again. Like when we first started, we were all on EMI. Now I'm back on EMI. I'm back on the same label as the Beatles.
That's interesting. But you have a wonderful website. It's really well planned so that the people that love your music can just go and navigate it very simply. I like that.
Simple is good, because the majority of my fans are mature people like myself. So they're not really looking for anything too complicated.
70 is the new 30.
And my music was never that complicated. It's complex, but it isn't complicated. But everybody goes, "Oh yeah, I mean something good. Yeah, I can play that." And then they start playing it and they go, "Wait a second, what's this bit here? There's a funny do. Oh, Everything I've been dreaming of. Oh my God, what's that? I don't remember that. So I try to keep the people who like me would like a few smiles put back in their lives. You know what I mean? That whole pandemic thing scared everybody to the point they said, I better get out. I've got a bucket here with a list in it, and it's really full. I better start going and doing things that I haven't been doing because, there's no parking. They're all smoking pot. It's too far. All those reasons that people didn't go out because they were a bit older now have all been tossed away. More people going out now than ever. It's quite amazing how the entertainment business has exploded in the last 2 years. The live entertainment thing exploded. Now people go to a show, they don't even know who's on the show.
The website. So you talk on Facebook. I see you pop up once in a while, and you had the Noonantics fans. Noonatics.
Yeah.
What is it? The platform now? Where do people find you on the web? On Facebook.
I've got a Facebook called Peter Noone Hermits to differentiate between any other people who call themselves Peter Noone. And there are a lot of people calling themselves Peter Noone trying to steal money from people. So my one is Peter Noone Hermits. And I'm in total control of that one. So if somebody comes in there and starts to like try to get old ladies to give them money, that I can catch them and capture them and cause them some sort of pain, emotional pain.
and you talk like you're talking to me right now, directly to the people that love you. That must be a lot of fun for you. I wish more artists would do what you do. I wish Carole King would.
It's time consuming. A lot of here's what happened, Joe. I mean, you know me. I mean, we've hung out together, so I'm kind of.
I opened for the Tremblers. My new wave band opened for the Tremblers.
Since then, you hung out.
1980.
Like neither do I now. But so we it's hard to find. When I go to work, I don't think about anything else except going to work. You know that? I mean, it's so pathetic, really. I'm 100% in my work mode when I'm going to work.
That's wonderful.
And Facebook Live is actually work, because what happens is I play some music in the background and I sign autographs to people live. And it started in the pandemic because what happened, I'll quickly tell you the story. This is what happened. All my dates, I refused to cancel them because that's a bad word in
Yep.
People cancel the cancel word. I said postpone every day. Postponed until a later date. Gives people some like hope in this hopeless moment. But what had happened was I had been shipping 100 CDs and 100 T-shirts to every one of those gigs that had been postponed. And they didn't want to hold it there in the box office because they had all the Fleetwood Mac stuff and all the Eagles stuff, all that already in storage. So I said, well, send it all to me. I'll store everything in my garage. So one day there's like 100 boxes of CDs that I needed to move into the garage. And I'm an old geezer, Pete, you have to remember you're not 74 anymore. You're 75 now. So I loaded all these CDs and I thought, how am I going to get, I'm going to get a Facebook Live thing and I'm going to sell them on Facebook Live and I'll sign them live because I'm not at a concert. And you know what? I emptied the garage during the pandemic.
Wow.
People loved the idea that they could, and I would go myself to the post office where my mask could go in there and buy the stamps with the guy and 6 feet apart and everything. And I managed to so I built like a shop. I became a retailer.
Now you wore the mask because you didn't want
it.
You wore the mask for the 10,000 fans not following you, right?
I just follow the law. You know what I mean? If a policeman pulls me over and says, get out of the car, I get out of the car.
Yeah,
I just follow that.
You're one of the nicest guys. You and Bobby Hebb were the two nicest guys in the industry. You're a gentleman.
Yeah, well, it's okay to be. It's better to be normal, isn't it? Nowadays, everybody else is acting weird. So me and you are the only two normal people, and Bobby's not here anymore. So hey, Dion is normal. Dion is normal. He's a huge superstar in my head, but he's a normal bloke. He tells you exactly how he's feeling, and that's interesting. So I did that in Facebook Live, and it built this whole new audience. Really, a lot of those people didn't know. And I came up with a thing like, if you join the fan club, you get a badge with your name on it, like badge. It says Hermits Peter Noone fan club, and it has your name on it, like Joe written on it. I said, and that way, when I meet you at a concert, I will know your name. I'll remember your name. I'll look at your badge and I'll look at, hello, Jennifer. You know what I mean?
What a wonderful idea. Oh, yeah.
So I go in the audience, and people have got, like, you'll see me at the city winery. I go in the audience and I go, hello, Beryl, because they got their name on the badge, you see. And they go, how did he know your name? Well, I'm in his fan club. Not because it's written on my badge. He knows me. So it's just a shtick, it's all stuff that's fun and endearing. People like a bit of fun nowadays. It's got very serious, the world, hasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I'm afraid to switch the television on.
One of my favorite songs of all time is There's a Kind of Hush. What happened the first time you heard it?
It was Jeff Stevens who wrote Winchester Cathedral, had written it. It was a friend of the band, Jeff Stevens. He'd written songs for other people. And I think, the first time I heard it was me. And it's a funny thing because, I remember where I was when I heard things. It's always been one of my sort of things.
Sure.
So Mickey Mouse had an office on Oxford Street, and Mickey Mouse would sit on this side of the office over here, and Peter Grant would have on the other side of the office, and you would stand in between the two desks. It's quite a big office, and you would stand between the two desks, and you'd have to play, and if you could play with them, you were you're accepted. And they played the Jeff Stevens. Jeff Stevens had written this song, and Jeff had played it to me, but I didn't know when people played me a song whether they wanted my opinion or whether they thought it was a good idea for me to record it. Because if they didn't say, "Is a song for you to record," I didn't know that. I thought they were playing me their records, and I was, would not be critical. Oh, I love it for everything, right? So now I'm standing in between Peter Grant and Mickey Most, and I saw Ronnie Wood, and he said, so I said, well, how do you know that? And he said, oh, I stood in that place in the office between Peter Grant and Mickey Most, so I know exactly who you are. So they played this song, and we all agreed. It was like an acetate. We all agreed that it was a smash record. We didn't know if it was a good record for Peter Noone, for Hermits, but it was suggested it might be a good idea to record it. Yeah, let's go and do it. And I think we got like John Paul Jones, who was going to be in Hermits at the time. Before he was in Led Zeppelin, he was in Yardbirds. So there's this sort of weird connection, this triangle. Like, I'm in the middle of this room with Peter Grant, who's going to manage the Yardbirds, and Mickey Most, who managed Hermits and that, and Yardbird. And suddenly John Paul Jones is doing the arrangements for There's a Kind of Hush. And so we go to Abbey Road, and Abbey Road is, or Lansdowne, one of those studios with an upstairs, downstairs. And I remember I would sing live. I would like to sing with the rhythm section live, the recordings. And Mickey Most liked that because he thought that there was some sort of magic in playing live with a band. So I remember, and John Paul Jones had written the arrangement, and he's now directing the string section, who are in another room, right? And he's playing Fender Precision bass, and directing. 1, 2, E, la 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 la, and his face with his face, and I'm singing There's a Kind of Hush, and all that is on the record. The intro it's out of the tempo isn't quite right on the intro because they're in another room, but Mickey Most kept everything. He kept every tape of everything. It was always, that's it. I said, oh, no, I can sing it better. You can't sing it better than that. Next. So, John Paul Jones did this arrangement, and it was a great arrangement. He also did Dandy and No Milk Today.
Whoa.
Great arrangement.
Oh, yeah.
And it plays bass all over those things. And so he played Fender Precision bass on the live recording, and then he overdubbed a double bass, dum, 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 dum. So there's like two bass players all over. There's a kind of hush, but that's the only thing that got overdubbed.
It's an amazing record.
And there's some trombone part. And I remember we did the first run through, and I remember John Paul Jones saying to the trombone players, rubato. So just something for musicians to laugh at. rubato, rubato, Wah, 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 wah.
What a great story. Peter, it's like 5:55 here. The station closes around 6. We've got almost an hour, which is amazing. I do want to tell people the City Winery is across the street from the Boston Garden. So it's a lovely room. It's kind of hidden. It doesn't have like flashy signs, but it's right down the street from the Boston Garden. It's July 28th. Sunday, you're doing at 3 o'clock. Do you do something different for the kids' shows as opposed to the adult shows?
Oh, no, I never know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing until I see the audience. We don't have a set list. I just play it by the room. I look at the audience before I go on, and I invent a set list. I always start with, I'm into something good and wonderful world. And after that, who knows? I start with, I'm into something good and wonderful world because I'm in something good and wonderful world. And then I always end with, Can't You Hear My Heartbeat, Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter, Henry VIII, and There's a Kind of Hush. That's always, to leave when you start hearing the end, There's a Kind of Hush.
Can I request?
Land of Hope and Glory.
Can I request some?
Hope and Glory.
I'd like to request some Bobby Stewart and Millie Small.
Say that again?
I'd like to request some Bobby Stewart and Millie Small.
My boy lollipop.
Great song. Chris Blackwell's first production.
Great record.
In the Chris Blackwell book, he discusses how he created it, and it was his first legit production, I guess. It was so masterful the way he thought, and it's all captured in his new book.
Hey, God makes everybody unique and different, in his own likeness, whatever he looks like. And, Chris Blackwell, he did it. He made a good one. I would say genius.
Oh, he was an amazing man. You know that the...
But so was Snuffy Garrett, and so was Mickey Most in their own little... The way they could create... if you can hear something finished before you start, that's amazing. It's like doing a painting and not, I could put a tree in the corner here. They didn't do that. They had the end in their head before they started to create it. Snuff
Garrett's work with Cher is amazing. It's just totally amazing.
Snuff Garrett's work with everybody is amazing. I met him once, a very, very interesting character and a great, great song picker.
Interesting.
Not many people rate Sonny and Cher, but they between them have made some fantastic records.
Immaculate. I mean, I Got You, Babe. So amazing.
Even You Better Sit Down, Kids, and stuff like that. It's just really, really great.
Well, Sonny worked for Phil Spector, and Cher sang on Be My Baby. She was in the background vocals.
Well, Bruce Johnston, another genius. There you go. So we could go on and on.
Yep. Even what Barry Manilow did with Bruce Johnston was amazing.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce told me that song's about God, and if you listen to it and it's about God, it makes the song sound brilliant. It's a brilliant song. I've been alive forever, and I wrote the very first song. I put the word and the melody together. I am music. I write the songs.
Barry didn't want to record it because he didn't want to be that guy that writes the songs, but they made him record it, and he's glad he did.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did too. It's a great... Ron Dante with all his stuff. We could go on and on, Peter. It's 5:59 here. God bless you. I love the time you've spent with us.
Hey, I'll see you in the North End.
July 28th, I believe it is Sunday. The City Winery. Peter Noone. Thank you.
See you, Joe. Take care of yourself.
You too.
See you soon. Bye.
Yep. Bye.